our tournament where my friend John said he found a body in the bushes over there. I ran over there because I'm a healing monk to try and help, but obviously my magic wasn't strong enough because the dude's body was missing a head. So my friend decided to try and use a necromancer spell, which didn't work, which I knew it wouldn't. And apparently we contaminated the crime scene because that spell uses a lot of glitter.
Your Honor, I object!
And why is that, Mr. Reed?
Because it's devastating to my case!
I gotta tell you, you brighten my day, ma'am. All right?
That's what the last guy said, and then he sued me.
Good evening, good people of the YouTube. Oh my God, I'm too big again. Hang on. This bothers me. Okay, there we go. I don't like feeling like I'm right in everybody's face, if you know what I mean. So, I'm not going to bullshit any of you guys. I'm just excited to go ahead and bring on my guest. You might have seen him with some snark nuggets on Twitter, X, here and there. But I have personally really appreciated his insights. I think a lot of us here have as well. So please give the warmest of all welcomes to, you might know him as Happily Angry Lawyer. You might know him as Jim Robichaud. Hey there.
Hey.
I don't have like an applause or any sound bits or anything. Sorry.
I get enough applause.
Okay, good. Well, here's your round from me. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your time and for doing this with us today. We're looking forward to hearing some of your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm happy to. It was a lazy Sunday, otherwise I'd probably just be scrolling through Twitter or something.
That's right. So you are from Los Angeles, correct?
I'm from Maine originally, but in
Okay.
Los Angeles now. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Have you always practiced in California, or have you? Okay.
Well, as of a couple days ago, I've been case in Georgia, so I got admitted pro hoc in Georgia recently. So I've been focusing on Georgia a lot lately.
Yes.
California.
Would you like to tell us what your pro hoc is for in Georgia?
Yeah, that's I can't go too much into it, but it's representing Antonio Sledge in the YSL the RICO case, which is actually about to start up again, the second portion of the trial, or second trial. But yeah, we're gonna try to help him with his probation revocation.
That's a big case.
Yeah, it's 28 defendants, I think.
Bless.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Video, etc.
It seems to be pretty smooth to me.
Okay.
You look like maybe there's a little bit of a lag, but it's not bad.
Okay, so it's for you. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I wasn't there for the first trial, unfortunately. I definitely watched it. I first started tweeting because of Moontook, my client. I think my first tweet was back in September or October. I didn't say anything before that, but yeah, I just thought he wasn't getting a fair shake.
I agree.
So I started screaming into the void on the internet, and one thing led to another.
So did he find you?
No, I was posting some stuff before his revocation hearing, and people were sending stuff that I'd written to him. So he knew of me and I knew of him.
Mhm.
But no, I wrote a letter to him in prison, just seeing if he'd be interested in any kind of assistance, whether it was me or somebody else.
Yeah.
And that was after somebody in his family had confirmed that he wasn't represented by his former attorney. So that
Okay.
made it okay to reach out. That was kind of what I had been waiting for.
hmm
And yeah, he wrote back, and eventually we were able to get on a Zoom, and Tiffany Adams in Atlanta is partnering up with me, and we were both representing him. And
That's stellar. That's a really, really big case. So good luck to you with all that.
yeah, I'm hearing there's going to be some more appeals soon from other other defendants. I don't know who, but that's the rumor mill. So there could be more. Well, there will be more, but soon for sure.
Good. He needs it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the work that you do for him. Now, do you primarily do appellate work?
No, I do. So I don't even do criminal law at all. I do like bankruptcy and insolvency and it's like white collar, like Ponzi scheme related work. And this was just like a hobby. Even before law school, I liked like true crime stuff. And so this was something that I did like to unwind.
Sure.
Which is incredibly nerdy to unwind from like being a lawyer by watching true crime stuff. But
well, it gets your mind off your own shit, you know?
That was the theory anyway. Just end up with more shit.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Especially when you're an attorney.
Yeah. So I've done a fair amount of appeals. It's pretty common, just the way my work does. Thank you, Ms. Smith. So I just do them pretty regularly, and I have done some like Ninth Circuit appeals. I don't argue them. I'm not old enough or senior enough to do that, but I do like write most of the brief, not all the brief, and then also California State Appeals.
Okay, awesome.
But
oh man, it's storming. If I disappear, I'll try to come right back. A big thunderstorm just started here. So what initially drew your attention to Karen Reed? You said you've been into true crime for a long time, but at what point did you really start noticing and paying attention to it?
So I first started paying attention to it. I don't know. It was after the first trial had ended. It was probably a couple months after. I knew that it had its reputation preceded itself, certainly. And I think I watched Emily Baker's, I don't know, probably Trooper, I don't remember who it was, but probably Paul or Proctor or one of the more outrageous testimonies. And from there, I kind of started back from the beginning. I didn't watch the entire thing, but I kind of casually watched it. And then I hadn't tweeted anything about it. I don't think I had a Twitter back then. But then recently, I said something nice about Alessi when he was arguing for 6 hours or so. Mm-hmm. And me and a couple of the lawyers that I talked to were tweeting back and forth. And I said he was like organized. And then I just got attacked by people. If you can call
it's not
it
as many people as you think, just so you know. It's kind of a handful of them who each have 1 or 2 dozen Twitter accounts.
There was a guy tweeting about pizza last night. He was trying to get people to buy pizza for John O'Keefe.
Oh my!
I'm just so confused.
Yeah, I try not to focus on a whole lot of that either because, I mean, the case enough is a rabbit hole.
Yeah,
in and of itself, and you know all the drama surrounding it is.
Yeah, that's part of what kept me away because there's like such a deep lore that has nothing to do. I shouldn't say nothing to do, but it's kind of tangential to the case itself, and it's just an overwhelming amount of information. But yeah, after I tweeted the Alessi thing, they started yelling at me. I spent like 2 days just saying, "Please leave me alone." And then it was 2 days. And then I just decided to just yell back at them, and then that got popular, me yelling at them. So I just kept mostly tweeting about it. I didn't mean to take it seriously and to actually do like a ton of reading, but I kind of had reading through just the docket going all the way back to the beginning. And
yeah, so you've read mostly court filings, but you haven't watched as many of the trial proceedings, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, I've watched most of the proceedings at this point.
I think it's taken up a lot of our time, a lot of our free time.
And it's not like a slow, boring trial. It's pretty action-packed throughout. Even the expert testimonies, which are usually pretty dry.
Right.
Who is it? Was it the medical examiner who was asked if she'd ever kept blood samples in a solo cup and she just gasps audibly? You
Oh.
get that.
Right. I mean, I keep little mementos from the trial in my streaming area. So these are my solo cups, which, don't forget, after they took the blood samples into the 6 solo cups, Maureen Hartnett, whose job was to test those blood samples, she only swabbed one of the cups. She left all the rest of them. And those cups have been left open in the Sallyport garage next to the vehicle, which is the supposed murder weapon, for I don't even know how long. But yeah, just left open and in a Stop and Shop bag. And then we have post-its that just became the access logs.
That should have been the end of it. We could have been done.
100%. Like, I feel that a lot of us find that this case should have been tossed long ago. I've seen smaller cases tossed over less.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said that. I didn't explain myself well, but I've said that before, and that it's really not a complicated case to me, just because the flaws in the investigation are so clear that you don't need to go, like the inverted video, for example. On direct, Buchanan didn't say, okay, first of all, I hate inverted video. It's just an inaccurate video. But
right.
He didn't disclose that in the direct, and that should have been the end of it. It doesn't matter. All this recent stuff is interesting, and I'm sure it'll come up in the trial, but we shouldn't have to go into the different type of video editing software that may have been used to invert video or splice video or manipulate video.
Right. It's simple enough to where, because Buchanan did not say in his direct examination that was not an accurate representation of what happened, that it was mirrored. That should have been enough.
You're trying to argue that the mirror image is an accurate image? Like, no, it's a mirror image. We have a whole different word.
Correct. Especially considering we're talking about one side of the murder weapon being visible on that camera. I mean, it's a pretty significant image to be mirroring.
It's
insane.
With a lot of depth to it.
Yeah.
And even like the ARCA invoice is a good example of that. You can go so far down the rabbit hole on something like that, but you don't need to. Right.
But what I see lately, especially since they hired this new, special prosecutor, Brennan, who isn't even part of the Norfolk County DA's office.
Yeah.
He was, I call him the hired gun, but after he got brought in, it seemed as though he has done more to try to pick apart the defense's evidence and the defense's experts and the defense's witnesses than he has, building his own case against her to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that she did what the Commonwealth is accusing her of doing. And he's running out of time. We have 3 weeks.
That's crazy. I didn't even realize that. I just had to check the date.
We're 3 weeks away. April 1st, April Fool's Day. Oddly enough.
I would not have picked that date. I would pick the second. I wouldn't. The headlines were so easy. There's going to be so many lazy headlines.
It seems like a bad omen. You're asking for a circus or a kangaroo court.
Yeah. I shouldn't have said that we don't need to go into the ARCA expert invoice, because obviously we do. I just meant we shouldn't have to. I should have said that better. But
no. I understood you.
I think. I mean, first of all, a special prosecutor, that usually will be from outside the office. But the thing is, Lally's still in the case, which is kind of defeats the purpose of having a special prosecutor. Usually you want to have an independent prosecutor, an independent prosecutorial team. But
sure,
Lally there is just another dude in the case. Kind of loses the meaning. But
hey, Tender mercies. Would you let me know who's louder between the two of us, and I'll try to fix it? I can only really hear him, and he can only really hear me, so we can't tell who's louder than the other. Girl, I'll try turning myself down.
I did automatically adjust, so that might make it better.
There we go. Maybe. Okay, I just turned myself down a little more.
I can be louder.
She says you. Oh, Brit. Brit is louder. Okay, I'm turning myself down more. There we go. Hopefully that's better. Okay.
That's fine.
Cool beans. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. I'm usually quiet too. I never talk. I should say never talk. I'm definitely like an introverted, quieter type. So I've been doing interviews and tweeting. It's definitely been a change. So if I get quiet, you can tell me to be loud. No problem.
Fair enough. You seem like a very strong writer, just from what I've seen in your tweets and stuff. I feel like, obviously there's a lot of that in your line of work, but yeah. You seem like you're particularly strong with giving a written opinion.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's one of my strengths. I'm definitely less good at the courtroom. Those courtroom lawyers with their perfect suits and their perfect hair, and they're always ready with a quip. I'm definitely more of the take my time and take too much time and really dive deep into the filings and produce something, strong and written. And
that seems like maybe Alessi's style as well, to a degree. I mean, he's definitely well-spoken as well, but he's extremely organized. I mean, for Christ's sakes, he provided Judge Canone with a binder outlining his entire argument last week.
What I loved about that is he said that he had finished it this morning, but then it's like tabbed and it's highlighted.
Mm-hmm.
Like the binder was done like a week ago. He's just been obsessing over every detail and organizing everything perfectly. But yeah, he kind of speaks like he writes in this outlined way.
Right.
Where somebody else might be more dramatic and try to have their punchy gotcha moments. But
that's what I see in Hank for sure. Yeah. The gotcha moments and stuff. But yeah, Alessi, he seems like the prime example of organized public speaking. Mm-hmm. I mean, when they teach you public speaking, they tell you, okay, tell them what you're going to tell them, and then you tell them, and then you tell them what you told them, which seems a little on the elementary side, but that's the basics of it. So he's absolutely the glowing example of how to speak publicly. He seems very strong at it.
You reminded me of so after the YSL trial, I don't know if you saw this, but three of the jurors did a podcast with what should go by? I'm Not a Lawyer, but or Mel.
Oh, I know her. I followed a lot of her stuff during YSL, like you mentioned.
Yeah, but they did an interview and they asked which lawyers from the defense team they liked and which ones they didn't like, and they said they weren't crazy about Brian Steele because it felt like he went on for too long. But then when you listen to them talk about the case, they're basically just repeating his narrative of the case point by point. And so even if it seems like it's, they liked him personally, they just thought he went on too long, but they clearly took the most from him because he was, I won't say because, but likely because he was so clear and did what you just said.
Right.
Consistent message. He made his points, repeated his points, got locked up, which he probably didn't have to do. But
thank goodness.
But he was very clear.
That was such a shocking moment. So guys, if you don't know what Jim's referring to, somewhere about mid-trial, Brian Steele, who was Jeffrey Williams, aka Young Thug's lawyer, basically brought a concern to the court about there being an ex parte communication. Specifically, it was one of the witnesses, the assistant DA, and the judge having a meeting in chambers without the defense being privy to it. And when he publicly brought up this concern, the judge's response, instead of, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, you're right, that is an issue. We'll look into that and, get you guys brought back to an even playing field as soon as we can," what he said was, "Where did you get that information? Who told you? Who was the tattletale?" Right? And ethically, Steele kind of couldn't say where that information came from, especially not in open court either. So he refused to tell Judge Glanville. And then Judge Glanville, as a result, threatened and then actually went through with holding attorney Brian Steele in criminal contempt of court. It was such a circus.
It really was. No, the opening statement of Angela D. Williams. She said, "This isn't a trial. This is a circus. Get your popcorn ready."
Yeah. It absolutely was. And I'm a big First Amendment supporter. So I was pretty invested in that trial. But I'm really glad that, Sledge is gonna have somebody like you who's really strong with this kind of stuff to kind of help him out.
Yeah, it's so much worse. It's so much worse than
what we know.
Yeah, like as bad as everything that we know is, it's worse than that.
Oh my goodness. Well, we'll find out eventually.
It'll be soon, I think. I expect it to be soon anyway.
Good. I'm on pins and needles.
Yes.
So
I plan for hopefully this month we'll have news.
Good. So over the past week, we saw some pretty surprising rulings come from Judge Cannone.
They were surprising.
For sure. I don't know how far back you had watched, but bringing back ARCA, one of the ARCA witnesses, Bev did not allow to speak to his opinion as to the causation of the wounds on Officer John O'Keefe's arm. Mm-hmm. Her reason for that, which she cited in her ruling, was that Dr. Andrew Rentschler, even though he's an experienced biomechanical engineer,
what a nerd,
was not a medical doctor. He did not have an MD next to his name, so he was not allowed to give his opinion about John O'Keefe's arm wounds. Then she proceeds to barely allow Dr. Marie Russell to opine as to the same thing, even though she is probably the most uniquely qualified expert witness that you could possibly have for a case like this.
Yeah.
And then this week, the prosecution's witness, Dr. Jim Crosby, who is an animal behavior expert, is going to be allowed to give his opinion about whether those wounds to his arm were caused by dog bites. Yeah, I mean, what did you think when you heard that?
I don't really have anything I don't have any expert opinion on that one. It just seems wild. I do think that Rentschler explained the difference between a doctor and biomechanical engineer's approach to an injury very well and very clearly and convincingly. And he said, we both start at the point of the injury and doctors diagnose and treat, whereas a biomechanical engineer works backwards and sorry, I started to read that.
Oh, no, you're good. Sorry.
We'll work backwards and, calculate forces necessary to cause certain injuries. And I mean, that's specific to his example, but really the same concept applies here.
Right.
The doctor is going to look at something and treat it. And that's,
Right. If your kid gets bit by a dog, you're not going to take it to a dog behavior expert. You're going to take your kid to a doctor.
Yeah, I was just thinking of what the dog behavior expert would do in that case. Yes, it bit him. I'm an expert.
Oh my.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really.
Yeah, can we get Caesar Milan on the stand now? Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Do you know that guy?
I know of him. Yeah,
he's like the media dog whisperer or something. But
he's just, I don't know, man. They're paid actors or something. They're too good.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
You're probably right. Especially with you living in Los Angeles now, you'd probably know. Christina asks, what about producing Chloe? So yes, they're claiming that this dog behavior expert found the dog that they didn't say how, but they said they can prove it's the same dog that the Alberts had and then rehomed after this incident. They can prove it's the same dog somehow.
It's a golden retriever, right?
No, it's a German Shepherd.
Yeah, okay.
But you're right. Those breeds look very much the same.
And that was like a few years ago. Let me see. It was 3 years
The
ago?
incident was 3 years ago. The dog was 7 years old at the time. So
It may have been
what I'm
rehomed
thinking
again
is
to a farm upstate.
But this is a 10 or 11-year-old dog now. So if they went recently and took molds of this dog, assuming it is the same dog, this dog's in a different phase of life. It's probably lost some teeth. It's probably developed an underbite.
God, I've spent so much money on vet dentists.
Uh-huh.
They're so expensive. But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. I can't believe we're talking about a German Shepherd dental conspiracy theory. This shit is such a crazy case. I have these moments all the time. It's like, well, how did we get here? But yeah, no, you're completely right. Do you think they
Have you
taken
ever-
a picture or something? Like,
I have no idea. I mean, apparently they took molds of the dog's mouth. But again, this dog has different bone density in her teeth now because she's 10 or 11 at this point. Probably has developed an underbite. And I mean, wasn't forensic...
forensic odontology.
Yeah, isn't that like a quack science now? I know they were using it a lot in the 90s, but...
Yeah, it was, I think it was really famously the West Memphis 3.
Mhm.
There was forensic odontology involved in that case. And, the quack science knows forensic odontology. And anyway, after that, I don't know if it's because of that, but after that, there was some kind of study or, I don't know, test done where they would send images to, I think it was 100 forensic odontologists, and they couldn't even come to a consensus on whether certain images were indicative of a bite. They couldn't even agree on if there was a bite or not a bite.
Wow.
So, let alone whether there was a match.
No kidding.
That there's been more research into dog bite mark identification than there has been with humans.
With human, right?
But
what I do know is that when I'm sure you've heard of the Innocence Project.
Yeah.
They're a group of attorneys who help wrongfully convicted people get overturned, maybe get a new trial, or just go ahead and walk. And they said that when they first started taking on cases, one of the first things that they looked for was convictions based solely or almost solely on forensic odontology.
Yeah.
Because it had been so strongly disproven as a half decent methodology.
Yeah, and it makes sense too, because like both people, somebody biting another person, like everyone's going to be moving. They're gonna be trying to get away. Whereas
Right.
a mold of a mouth is a static thing, you know? So it's not even an apples to apples comparison. They took a mold of a dog's mouth. What if it's the wrong dog? They took a mold of just a random German Shepherd's mouth.
I think they probably did. I am very interested in finding out how they intend to prove that this is the same dog, unless they bring the dog into the courtroom and put the previous owner there and see how the dog reacts to the previous owner.
And cross-examine the dog. Were you a bad boy?
Put the dog on the stand. But
That dog's
yeah,
accused of murder right now. That's messed up. You think that's
Well-
a doggy defense lawyer?
not necessarily, because the wounds were not the fatal wounds, but yeah, I mean, definitely an accessory to murder, right?
That's messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Get rehomed to Sing Sing or wherever they send people.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if you've seen on Twitter, his actual name is John Camo, but he has a local kind of newspaper that he just started called the Canton Chronicle. If you've ever read like Babylon Bee or The Onion, it's kind of satirical reporting, right? Yeah. I would love to see an article come out saying, local German Shepherd accused of accessory to murder and is being charged or something.
Hey, there's a video. What's his name? It's like a History Channel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think of the name of it, but he did a video on whether you can charge animals with crimes and instances in which animals have been charged with crimes throughout history. Maybe
interesting. Has it ever been done?
I know it has. I think it's been years since I watched this video, but I think there was a Roman emperor that charged. Or there was.
Interesting.
The Romans did it. The Romans did it. They did everything.
Oh yeah, well, the Romans did everything. Good grief. So
yeah, I haven't seen that video, but
right, nothing to prove on the dog. It's trust me, bro. It's the same dog. Oh.
That dog must have been so confused. Strangers show up and start. Hasn't gotten his mold taken in 11 years, and somebody's taking a mold of his mouth.
Right. Romy, good joke. Oh, and thank you for becoming a member. Romy says, Chloe is a good girl. She'll tell the tooth. The whole tooth and nothing but the tooth. I think that's an emoji, guys. A special membership emoji. Oh, goodness. Yeah, I made a little emoji for members that has a tooth on it and it says tell the tooth. There we go. Thanks, guys. Oh, I love it. Miss Smith says, so far the CE and especially Hank, I'm guessing you mean the CW for Commonwealth, especially Hank has misstated or misrepresented enough for me to distrust everything they touch, produce, present, etc. Oh yeah, based on Trooper Proctor and Buchanan alone.
Yeah, I was reading the well, how did I say it? The plow driver? Is it Loughran? The plow driver?
Yes, Lucky Loughran.
That's a great name. He sounds like 1920s, like
Boston name. Yeah, it's a bootlegger name.
That's a great name. Oh man, sorry, I was just thinking about how great of a name that was. Yeah, but the Buchanan and Proctor interview with Loughran. Right around the time of the infamous nudes texting.
Oh yeah. Ugh.
And
unbelievable.
I still don't think we know everything about how shady they. I mean, I know we don't, but how shady they were and what they looked at and how many they broke. I think Buchanan's probably gonna. It seems like he's gonna skate on everything, but
I hope not. I hope Fanning doesn't either.
Yeah,
but Fanning. Do you know anything about some of the other cases that he's dipped his fingers into?
Not a ton, but enough to know that he's. I mean,
yeah,
he's dirty.
Yeah, he needs an independent investigation, not an internal investigation. An independent one.
Yeah, Proctor.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I said Proctor's. I mean, I'm not defending Proctor, but I don't think he's like, he might have been the one that did this stuff that was bad, but I don't think it's all.
He's a puppet.
Too much is being put on him. There's
he's
plenty put on him, but
somebody told him to do what he did.
Like Buchanan, like he liked the message about Proctor said about going through. There's almost nothing I can quote from those texts that are acceptable, but going through the client's phone.
Yes.
So he knew that Proctor was going through the phone. He was clearly investigating the defense team. He knew exactly what was going on. And
he also was reacting to a lot of those inappropriate messages too.
Yeah.
Giving little thumbs up and little hearts, or he was actively.
Like, if you're going to be in a criminal conspiracy, like, you can't use emojis to run. Like, you're evil. And
you won't get taken seriously anymore. Yeah. That's too good. Meatball Morrissey Sketty Stain says, what are your thoughts on the BS letter from Chief Rafferty that actually said the federal investigation will be closed, but not is closed? Chloe's location cannot be disclosed. She is now the witness. Yeah.
Witness protection program, I think.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Prosec. Yep.
Can you imagine like some like law enforcement guy fresh out of the academy and he has his first assignment? Like, you have a critical witness you need to protect her with your life. He's all ready to go the first day, and then fucking German Shepherd shows up.
Right. Oh man. This show, it is a show. This case deserves to be a TV show. Thank you, Meatball Morrissey.
The letter.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't think the FBI like just broadcasts what it's doing that directly. That's kind
They're
of
very tight-lipped.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, it's not closed. Like, isn't there's still stuff going on with the Birchmore case? Isn't that still pending?
So they have pressed charges, and all the charges they intend, as far as I know. Excuse me, sorry. Sorry, guys. They've pressed all the charges I believe they intend to press in the Sandra Birchmore case. But, okay, we're still getting asked if you can turn your volume up. I've turned mine pretty far down, so.
Hold on a second.
Okay, but so they've indicted Farwell. He's about to he's going through pretrial hearings now federally. He still has no charges from the Commonwealth directly. Nobody has been charged for the murder of Sandra's baby. And I mean, it was very clear that she intended to keep that baby. She was looking forward to having it. She was buying clothes, and she had a special little sign made to announce her pregnancy and all kinds of stuff. So she intended to have it. So
Is that better, by the way?
Guys, is that better? Y'all are the ones who can hear both of us. So Rami says the Birchmore investigation is still ongoing. And what I'll say about that is I did a little bit, not a ton, of research on the way that federal indictments get closed and how they're announced. So, and then I had AI put them in order as far as their frequency. So when you have the feds closing a case, the DOJ most often makes an official press release. Then the next common way is that they make a public statement through, like a public statement from a DOJ official that's written. And then you have court filings, letters to the individuals being investigated. And then down all the way next to no announcement whatsoever, you have media leaks, which is what we saw here. And considering how tight-lipped the DOJ has been with the John O'Keefe investigation, I'm going to take all that is being said about it being closed with a grain of salt. Because look at how much we know.
Yeah. I mean, they wouldn't, if they're going to investigate the investigation, they're going to wait until, like, they're aware that the trial is still ongoing.
Mhm.
They see something that's, yeah, it just doesn't make sense for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine they'd wait until at least the trial's over.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there's like this whole thing hasn't ended, so I'm sure the agents working on it are going to keep an eye on what's going on.
Mhm.
You know, it's just, I didn't really understand the whole federal. I don't know exactly what they were investigating. I guess nobody does really, but I think that trying to draw conclusions from the federal investigation is the absence of information that we're drawing conclusions on. And
Sure.
that's kind of a, I don't know, maybe the agents think that there's a great case against one person or another, but the DA's office, the U.S. attorney doesn't believe in the case, and it's just died that way. There's no way of knowing.
Absolutely not. And this is also the first of its kind as far as an investigation into an active investigation. They've looked into investigations before, but historically only invest in investigations that already had been closed.
Yeah.
So I find it very hard to believe that this is actually over before the investigation is over, kind of like you said, and B, that they wouldn't make some kind of public statement about it being over if that were really the case.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know what's going on, but the people who are really anybody who's like treating this as this definitive, I don't think there's any much to be taken away from it, really.
Not yet, at least.
Yeah, for sure.
So, have you ever heard of somebody's pro hoc vitae being denied over something that they didn't even do, or that they were afraid that that attorney was going to do?
I mean, I'm going to be the guy to ask. I don't deal with pro hocs all that often. I can tell from the attorneys that do deal with pro hocs often that it doesn't happen. I'm kind of, against the grain on this one. I don't think Canoni explained it very well or at all. I think I know what she was trying to say. And it's definitely a hypothetical thing. I think she has a better point, or there is a better point. She didn't make it, but there's a better point to be made that it's not ridiculous, I think. But it's definitely unusual.
Okay.
To reject, I think, at all.
But
unless you're Tony Busby and you just make up a bunch of stuff about cases are you familiar with that? The Tony Busby, Southern District of New York. He was he was representing and playing a Shazy, and he just swore that he was admitted to practice in the district, and he wasn't. And if you're that
interesting,
if you're that guy, your pro hoc will get rejected.
Well, yeah, but
short of that,
but no violations at all. I mean, this guy has nearly. We're talking about Mark Betterow here. He has nearly 30 years of experience between being a prosecutor and a private criminal defense attorney. And I was shocked, personally, especially because when there is some sort of purported conflict of interest between two clients, it's up to the clients. Typically, right? It's usually the clients who kind of waive that, right?
Yeah, I think the issue, it wasn't clearly explained, but I think what Canoni was trying to say was that Betterow had already sworn that he wasn't going to share information between the client. Well, some obviously, but he wasn't going to share certain confidential information between the clients.
Mm-hmm.
And to waive for a client to be able to effectively waive a conflict, they need to be fully informed and give fully informed consent. And so that's,
Okay.
I think the issue is he's saying he can't commit to sharing all information between clients, and therefore
They can't have fully informed consent.
yeah, I think that's what she was getting at.
Okay.
I don't know if that's valid, but that was my take on what she was trying to say. I mean, the classic example would be, say Karen says, I did everything and Aiden helped me and I want to testify against him for immunity.
Okay.
Now
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's kind of the textbook example. I'm not saying that any of that's going to happen, but that's kind of the conflict that you'd be worried about.
I see.
If
You can go ahead. I'm just bringing that up to look at in a minute.
Yeah. Okay. What was I going to say? So yeah, that would be a new trial. Like,
Right.
for a lawyer to get convicted on that, it would be ineffective assistance of counsel, and it would get overturned immediately, and that's the concern. And yeah, I think that's the question: is informed consent, not just consent.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's not completely ridiculous. I think it probably should have been admitted or permitted, but it's not totally crazy.
Fair enough. She sure did make a lot of surprising other rulings, though. I mean,
I think the other ones are more.
Do you think that has anything to do with? Do you feel? I mean, this is obviously going to be a speculatory thing, but
anything.
Okay, you don't feel anything. You're dead inside. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel like maybe? Do you feel like Bev's rulings and Bev's writings have maybe changed or, gone up in a degree since the federal investigation was reported to have been closed?
Ooh. I think they've changed. When was it first reported that it was closed? That was like in the last
couple weeks ago.
Couple weeks or so, yeah.
Yeah, it was in the past month. In Karen Reed time, it's hard to say. Time goes by differently in the Karen Reed case.
Yeah, like I know they changed. I just haven't thought about whether they changed on that specific timeline. I mean, we talked briefly about the pro hoc denial and the little snark nugget at the end.
Right. Here, I'll show that to everybody. So what she says is, after review of the pleadings, the defendant's supplemental motion for admission pro hoc vice of attorney Mark A. Betterow is denied. No stairway. The affirmation submitted in support of the motion is insufficient on its face. In addition, the proposed concurrent representation involves a conflict of interest that is not waivable under Massachusetts Rule of Professional Responsibility. She cites this law here. See also comments 22 and 23. One such conflict is specifically outlined in the motion at paragraph 8, where Mr. Betterow, apparently speaking through Mr. Yannetti, promises to restrict his use of certain information. The clear inference of the promise is that Mr. Betterow would not use protected information gained in the representation of one client for purposes of his representation of the other client. He thus proposes to ignore information known to him through his representation of one client, even where this information might benefit his second client. So it just seems a little bass-backwards to me. But the court cannot permit such conflicted representation and declines to add to the defense team that currently numbers at least 4 lawyers, 3 by admission pro hoc vice. So what she's saying is, you have enough lawyers. I've already allowed 3.
Yeah, it doesn't add anything.
You can have as many as you want.
Yes. I mean, 4 is a lot, but it's also not a lot. If you have like a private law firm in a corporate context, you will have more than 4 lawyers, and that's not
Right.
like it's
Not
the
unheard
cost
of.
thing too, because you have people that are different people do different things. Different people are good at different things.
Exactly.
You have the Action Jackson, cross-examination, trial, sort of. I don't want to say. I hate trial lawyers. They're so obnoxious. With the trial lawyers that are stylish.
Yeah, they have a lot of vibrato.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you have like the nerds that are awkward that you can't let speak to clients that just know everything, and you have the cheap junior associates that do stuff or they can do like the grunt work.
Hmm.
Maybe
That's
the
true.
senior semi-retired guy who charges an obscene amount of $1,500, $2,000 an hour to give his 10 minutes of insight on something. And you just have a lot of different people that do different things. It's not. It's
And
not
when you're
all
going
good.
up against what appears to be, the Canton Police Department, the Mass State Police, the Norfolk DA, possibly a judge.
Yeah, that's like one competent attorney if you got them all together.
Right. All in lockstep. All in lockstep, though, against her. Plus the media. Don't forget that. The media's false reporting. I don't know if you know this, Jim, but the local stations were reporting at first that there was ring camera footage of this crime being committed. That one of the neighbors' ring cameras caught Karen backing her car into Officer John O'Keefe's body, and that they had the whole thing on tape. It didn't exist.
Yeah, that's that would have been helpful. That would have solved.
Well, and that's why a lot of people at first were like, "Okay, well then, she did it."
I mean, it's the Boston media. It's every time the Red Sox fire a GM, all of a sudden the papers will announce that he was doing drugs and he had hookers in the office every day and he
Right.
killed somebody.
Scandal. Buzz.
Theo Epstein got fired, and all of a sudden he left the team, and all of a sudden he was just the biggest dick in the world, and everyone hated him.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been like that. Up in Maine,
Right.
we're more
So about this Proctor guy.
The Proctor guy.
The Proctor guy. Yeah. So he's still. What's that?
I'm thinking prosector. We could just shorten it to like Proctor.
Oh God. Could shorten it, straighten it. You would need a chiropractor to straighten him out, though, huh? Sorry, I'm bad with dad jokes. So, he's still having hearings with this internal investigation.
That's
to this day.
That's more insane. Fire him.
Yeah,
Just
get him
do
out of
it.
there. Well, and you would think that for the sake of their own PR, they would.
Yeah.
But do you feel like maybe they're trying to kick this can as far down the street as possible so they don't have to admit in court that he was fired for his conduct during Karen Reed's investigation?
I don't know. I mean, all of the stuff that he did is going to come out. Almost not firing him looks worse at this point.
Precisely. That's kind of what I was thinking. It seems a little backwards.
I mean, those unions are extremely strong.
They are.
Usually
That
not
they
in this
are.
context. There's usually not a nude search scandal that the unions
Right.
but
Or making fun of somebody for their health problems.
Yeah, and I'm fine with the union being strong, but it's been years. It's so clearly wrong. It hurt the other police officers, I'm sure. There's a degradation of trust.
Mm-hmm.
And, he deserves representation and union counsel at hearings and everything like that. But, come on. You can't do
Sure.
that. This isn't a close
Plus possible. I mean, I don't want to ask if you think he did it, but you also could potentially have planting of evidence too.
He definitely.
I mean, at every critical point at which documentation should have been made about the condition of Karen Reed's car, seizure, when it arrived at the Sallyport as well, no photos were taken. The security camera footage at the library that Karen passed by after dropping off Officer John O'Keefe, that mysteriously went missing. Mm-hmm. So every critical point at which we could have seen for sure and put all this to bed, the condition of her taillight after this supposed incident, it's all gone or too bumfucked to be able to make any sense of it.
Yeah. I mean, like, he definitely has tampered with evidence, even if it wasn't intentional, because, like, look at the cell phone. We know that when he was looking through Karen's phone, Lowry clearly knows the proctor was going through the phone, and he tried to, like, steer him away from it.
Right.
But he was going through the physical phone. That's tampering with evidence. You're destroying the value of the evidence.
And then he withheld all that Canton PD footage.
Yeah, that was probably a better example. Yeah, that's a better example. Yeah, I mean, it's just, he did tamper with the evidence. It doesn't matter if he did it on purpose or not. I mean, it does, but...
I mean, spoliation is spoliation.
Yes. I thought you said exfoliation for a second.
Oh, no.
It does look very smooth. You're right about that.
A little lava mud and... Yeah, no, but it definitely stinks whether it was intentional or not. The eyes of the law really don't care.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely meant to open the phone. That was in evidence. That's intent to tamper with evidence, even if it's not.
Sure.
That's not what his intent was. He still had the intent to do the thing that he did. And, as far as his personal, like, criminal liability or anything like that, I don't think it's, I would be able to prove beyond a doubt that he did any of those things, but that's not relevant to whether he gets to keep his job, and it's not relevant to whether, it's relevant, but we don't need to prove that he's done those things beyond a reasonable doubt to acquit Karen Reed.
Certainly not. She should have walked a long time ago. And I personally, I've looked at all the evidence, and I can rub two brain cells together. So I personally believe that she is factually innocent. But even if I didn't think she were factually innocent, I have enough respect for procedural due process to say that even if she did do it, then she should have walked a long time ago. This case should have been tossed whether she did it or not. And, the people who do believe that she's guilty should be every bit as upset, if not more, than the people who find that she's innocent are with local law enforcement.
Yeah. I mean, the thing, like, we joke about solo cups a lot, but I mean, think about how, like, that's supposedly like your fallen comrade. That's your brother. And you're going to take his blood and leave it you're going to take your fallen brother's blood and leave it on the floor next to a shattered rear tail light. And that's just so disgusting in every sense of the word. It's so disrespectful. It's
dehumanizing.
Yeah. And for them to turn around and, I mean, I'm not going to attack the family because I can imagine what that's like. But for the prosecutors to just use his memory as a shield, it's just so disingenuous.
Certainly, and I have a lot of pity for the family. I do, and I believe that all the distasteful things that they have done is because they've had the wool pulled over their eyes for years now about who's responsible. So, that there's been a lot of distasteful things done on their part, but I'm never going to I'm not going to blame them for any of that, because they've been deceived, at least in my opinion.
I don't know enough about I know they're involved in the lore, but I don't know enough about their role.
Right. So do you think, and I mean, I don't know if you've seen everything, but do you think that Karen is factually innocent?
I think so. I'm not like 100% convinced, but the Rentschler's sort of examination or just description detailing the injuries as opposed to what you would expect for that level of force.
Oh, certainly. And with no injuries south of his noggin either.
Yeah. And I guess Trooper Paul too. It's the two sides of the same coin. One side being gold and the other side being something worse. But
sure.
Yeah, I just think that Paul's, I almost feel bad for him in a way, because he's trying to explain something that just physics doesn't seem to support.
It can't.
Like
it can't.
I couldn't explain the pirouette theory any more articulately than he did. There's no way to sound smart saying that. It seems like he was given the theory and tried to come up with a way to reverse engineer it.
Right. I think it just did is the best that anybody could have done with that. Probably.
That might be my favorite moment. Was did it say anything else, or did it tell you anything else?
Oh yeah. And I wish I could just at the drop of the hat pull that dialogue back up. But when he said, "I was told," it was told to me, insinuating, by the way, that it was by another trooper. When you're saying that in that kind of passive
text, is a red flag anytime you see cops, because they're taught to speak in active voice. I just saw something in the YSL trial. This is Miles Farley. I actually have it open right now because I couldn't sleep the other night because I'm crazy. Oh, where is it? I have the exact science.
Yeah, you can share your screen in here too.
I will look like a crazy person, but that's okay.
You don't have to be crazy to be here, but we appreciate it.
Let me see. How do I share it?
So there are a couple ways. The easiest, is from StreamYard. Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. One second. Sorry, this might not be TV.
Oh, Hakuna Matata. So Broken Baker, yeah, absolutely. They had different theories all throughout. Okay, I'll bring this up. I'm going to make us a little smaller too.
Let me resize. Don't worry about the colors. I'm not insane. Wait, now it's up here.
Yes, Chronic. Proctor has another hearing on the 13th.
Okay, there we go.
And this is from YSL?
Yeah, this is so this is a defendant. He had never been in any trouble with the law of any type. He went to college, he started a clothing brand, and it referenced YSL. And he got looped in, he was charged with gang conspiracy. And he eventually pleaded guilty by Alford, so he didn't admit fault. But then he was picked up on a probation violation on the 7th, which was Friday night or Thursday, I think. And so they're talking about how this whole thing is ridiculous, but they're going through, Mr. Farley was seated, Mr. Farley denied, and then it switches to they're talking about gun possession. It says it was determined that Mr. Farley had constructive possession of the firearm, and constructive possession.
So that's passive.
Yeah, so they do the whole thing and then they switch to passive voice. Like, who determined that? The police don't even have that's not their call to make. That's the judge does that.
Exactly.
The judge and the jury got to really determine that.
And did you see how often Yuri Buchanan used passive voice like that?
I don't remember it, but I'm not surprised. It's not surprised.
Oh yeah, like the the CDs or the thumb drive with the Sally Port footage was given to me. Well, who gave it to you? Yeah. We're trying to establish a chain of custody here.
I'm sorry, I need to close this window. I'm just getting angry seeing it out of the corner of my eye.
There we go.
Oh God, I couldn't sleep. I was so mad about this. It's so stupid.
Oh yeah, and you have so much material to go through. I can't imagine what your weekends must look like right now.
They're very fun. I like it. I do. That's where my name comes from, the Happer, the Angry Lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
I was planning on actually tweeting and doing it, but I like being miserable and insane about these things.
You revel in the misery.
I do. The dumber, the better.
Right. Well, and I'm sure in some sense it helps you kind of connect with your clients too, because this is how they're feeling.
Yeah, I mean, they know much better than I do. Well, I mean, I've only ever had one criminal law client, but he certainly knows better than I do. I mean, he knows what the truth is, and he knows with certainty that he's been wronged. And I 100% believe it. And objectively, in a number of ways, he has been wronged. But
yes,
it's always going to be less real for me than it is for him. But yeah,
we've got a question from Peppermint. I like that name. That's fun. Can the defense go talk to the dog owners to find out exactly what they were told about why the dog was being rehomed? I mean, I suppose you could, but then it seems like... Go ahead.
I thought the owners were the ones that did the rehoming, right? Didn't they?
Correct. I think what they mean is the new owners, the new supposed owners in New Hampshire or Vermont or, somewhere further up in New England.
Look, I would do a lot for my clients. I will not go to Vermont.
Yeah. But it also seems like a very deep rabbit hole to go down on something that does not have that much of a direct impact on the evidence against Karen. They can already prove through previous incident reports that Chloe had a history of violent attacks. They have pictures of a neighbor who was bitten by this same dog, and they have, they have the paper trail of the dog who was attacked, and the dog had to go to the veterinarian because of the extent of the injuries that dog suffered. It was like a poodle doodle of some kind.
Yeah, they can go talk. They might need to, if it's like witness interview rules. I don't know what they're in Massachusetts, but they might have jumped through a hoop, but they certainly could.
True. I feel like it would be redundant though.
Yeah.
Because they can already establish the dog's got problems.
Man, I'm not sad about the dog. It's like this old dog, and he's just getting sent from owner to owner.
I know. Yeah, we all feel that way. None of us really believe that she's still with us either. We think she's crossed the Rainbow Bridge. Unfortunately.
Juicy arms.
All right.
Doggy heaven.
R.I.P. Chloe. Oh, Coco says that Chloe is with Officer John O'Keefe. Aw. Doll. Eric says the 2 worst lies ever. 1, Bev saying, referring to Judge Canone, that she's given Karen the fairest trial. And then 2, Muppet Hank saying Detective Fanning is a decorated and honest dude. Nobody believes the corruptions. Yeah.
I love that quote. He says, it's so stupid. He says Fanning is one of like the most respected, and there's another adjective. He's one of the most respected people. And then he stops for a second and he says, like, yeah, his reputation's taken a hit, but he'll bounce back from this. It's like, so he's not respected anymore. He's respected except for all of the respect that he's lost in the last couple months.
Sure, and not just from and not just from Karen either, but he had a huge hand in the Sandra Birchmore case.
Yeah.
If it weren't for the feds, then her death would have still been ruled as a self-checkout.
Just give me an idea. That case is just. You know what I hate about this little detail I hate about that case is they keep calling Farwell Matthew in the police reports.
Mm-hmm.
Not always, but it's just.
What would you expect, Mr. Farwell or Officer Farwell?
Not like Maddie, don't you know?
Right. Whatever his mom calls him.
Yeah, I mean, just Farwell is fine.
Sure.
Matthew, like.
Brennan was asking him to the prom. Love it. Oh, boy. Oh, yes. Thank you for the reminder, Christina. Guys, please thank the mods who have quite literally worked overtime today. But yeah, please leave your touch DNA evidence on all the buttons, the subscribe button, the like button, all that shit. And then, you know, if you think someone would appreciate this, please feel free to share this with a friend. This is not a secret club either. Many, many thanks. But, you know, on top of that, Fanning also, there is a paper trail of emails showing that Fanning may have coerced the local medical examiner into ruling Birchmore's death a suicide. The ME actually notated that she had a broken hyoid bone.
Yeah.
She didn't just miss the broken hyoid bone. That would have been one thing, but she wrote that down and then still ruled it as a suicide, which a broken hyoid bone, sorry, say that 10 times fast, occurs in less than 1% of self-executions and over 50% of strangulations by murder. So, I mean, and again, it evidently was Fanning who made sure that ME.
But not going into the room with the ME and getting that determination is a rookie move. I think I heard one of them say that somewhere along the line.
Yes. Should have had me or somebody else do it. Are we talking about Shorty Bello? With Karen?
Yeah.
The ME's name in the Karen Reed case is Dr. Irene Shorty Bello, and she ruled everything as unconclusive.
I know. I've only read it, but I didn't know how to say it. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a little hard to pronounce if all you've got is the letters. I can see that. Right. Oh, goodness. Well, I really appreciate your time. I'm going to wrap it up here, but anytime you want to come back, you are more than welcome. I know. So can you tell all of us where we can find you? I know you've got your X account listed below your name.
I have a bunch of video ideas that I haven't done.
Oh.
So once I do some videos, I'll have a YouTube channel. Well, I actually have a channel. It just doesn't have anything on it. But I'll be sharing stuff there once I actually do it. And but yeah, it's just the Twitter right now, which is
Yeah, happily angry ESQ for Esquire.
Yeah, it was just gibberish before. I had to change it and update it because I was going to tweet, but you can find me there.
Uh-oh, what did I miss?
This is
Carrie.
breaking news.
Carrie says, check the chat,
Oh
Britt.
God, what did
I
you
don't
find
know.
out about me? I didn't do it.
I'm not sure what I missed. I'm so sorry if I did miss something, Carrie. Thank you so much to Christina, to a whole lot of Nichols, and to Romy for becoming new members. You now have access to the most awesome emojis ever. And then I'm working on getting some, shit that is for members' eyes only. I haven't figured out quite what I want to make yet.
I have the Young Jerks. I'm doing their thing tomorrow at sometime.
Awesome! I love Mike. He's a good friend. He's really cool people. You'll like him.
Yeah, that is something that's neat about these kind of communities that have popped up around the different trials. There's these little like ecosystems of content creators and all friends, and it seems, well, I shouldn't say they're all friends in this case, but there's generally a friendly, community that pops up, and it's not the same in the YSL trial. It's
Very true. It's kind of like a community, and with this case, there's been a little bit of a diversity as to types of content creators. I'm not necessarily a true crime person. I do follow cases that have a lot of irregularities that seem to me like it's going to be a miscarriage of justice. I take a lot of interest in that kind of stuff. So
yeah, same here.
Awesome. Well, then I think you and I are going to get along just fine.
Yeah, I've been getting tricked into following the Blake Lively Baldoni case.
Oh,
there are a lot of irregularities, but I just hate everybody. I hate all of them.
yeah.
But to make it interesting, and I keep getting sucked back in.
I
think it's gonna have to happen though. I already don't like it.
Just let yourself. You've already gotten invested. Watch to the end. Yeah. All right, and then thank you again, Morrissey. I appreciate it. And then I really wish I knew what.
Yeah, type it again.
What's her butt was saying. Hang on. Whoever told me to check the chat. Carrie. I don't know what I missed. I'm sorry, Carrie. Maybe. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. I've got to finish cooking dinner and all that stuff. But thank you so much, Jim, for your time.
Yeah,
you are welcome back whenever you want. I have a pretty intimate audience compared to, a lot of creators, and I try to keep it as casual and comfortable as possible. So, anytime you want to pop back in, just let me know. You're always welcome.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the next time we get a filing. If we, happen to get another filing, which I think we will.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I will keep in touch with you then.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right, I'll wrap it up with them. Thank you again, Jim. I appreciate it. I'll be watching you tomorrow. I'll keep an eye out.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right. Have a great night.
Okay, thanks.
So guys, make sure that you're watching. Oh, man, I'm too big again. Make sure that you're watching Jim tomorrow on the Young Jerks. That's wonderful. He is so hilarious. I absolutely love his tweets. I think you guys all should follow him and get his little knowledge nuggets because he's got some awesome stuff. All right, y'all. So upcoming. So we got to talk about what we're doing next here. Guys, we do now have active memberships. So if you want access to some super cool emoji, and I'm working on getting some, members only stuff and content and badges, maybe better badges than what I made. I did it all from scratch, but I'm working on getting some cool stuff involved. So make sure that you're keeping an eye out for new things I'm putting out in the membership only content. And next week, when we return, we are going to have somebody who's kind of new to the movement, but we've heard her name several times. Oh, whoops, that's way too loud. Her name is Michelle Littlefield. She lost her job for turning over information from Aiden Carney's cell phone to Aiden Carney. Imagine that. And then Morrissey made sure that she lost her job because she leaked the information, which that wasn't even a crime for her to have done that. She's super duper sweet, Christina. You're gonna love her. Yes, boo meatball. This is gonna be an anti-meatball stream next week. I don't have the time just yet, but it will be on Sunday the 16th. So make sure that y'all are watching for that. It's going to be very, very fun. Oh yeah, and she's a total savage, so it's going to be a good show here for sure. We love savages here. Christina says we don't do no stinking meatballs. Yeah, definitely not. So yeah, we're gonna kind of let her tell her story and get the word out there. Guys, I do have the Karen Reed Defense Fund pinned in the chat, so please consider donating to her if you would like to support this channel. There are means and methods scrolling below by which you can do that. And then also just make sure that you're subscribed and that your notifications are on, because I know that you want to come back and see Michelle Littlefield. She's gonna be just freaking awesome, Lulu, for sure. Oh, and thank you for, by the way, Lulu, I missed this earlier during our afternoon tea stream. Thank you for your, let's see. Oh my God, Lulu bought me 5 nitro cold brews. You are such a hoss. Thank you. A hero and a hoss. I appreciate it. And then let's see if there were any Cash Apps and Venmos and all that stuff. I need to get better about checking this stuff. Venmo. Okay. I think I've checked everything. Talk amongst yourselves. I need to find a place like kind of midstream to do that. Here we go. Yeah, I've checked everything. So yeah, thank you so much, Lulu Bell. I appreciate it. You guys have an amazing rest of your day. I, of course, will make an announcement if something pops up between now and Sunday. But as of right now, the next time I will see y'all is Sunday the 16th with Michelle Littlefield. If you'd like to reach out with things you'd like to see from the channel, I'm going to leave up for a while ways that you can follow me on other platforms or get a hold of me. But until then, I hope y'all have a great week. Peace, love, and butt dials. Muchos love to all of you.